Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Welcome to my channel. This is another video about the Demoscene. This is part of the Pick a Topic, Any Topic tier on my Patreon. You can go check out the tiers at patreon.com/psenough. This is one of them. Someone picked a topic for this month and I'm gonna make a video about it, which is this that I'm doing right now. Amazing. So I have some notes here with me. So I want to tell you about inspiration versus ripping in the Demoscene. So if you don't know what the Demoscene is, first of all, you should check out other videos that I made explaining what the Demoscene is, so that we don't spend too much time on this video talking about what is the Demoscene. This video in particular is about inspiration versus ripping. So defining these terms, inspiration is when you take an idea from something and you try to use it in your own demo or an intro. You can take ideas from music videos, for example. I have a few examples that I want to share with you. There's Blunderbuss by Fairlight, there's Sincere from Loonies, Glitch from Keulers, X-Mix and E-Mix from MFX and Epoch, both go into the X-Mix culture. Suicide Barbie from TBL was also a pretty known inspiration demo. These are just a few examples of demos that go find an inspiration in something and then make a demo about it. Sometimes demos even draw their inspirations from another demo, remaking the demo in another platform. For example, you can see Second Reality was ported to a lot of platforms, Commodore 64, the Atari, even in a size limited intro in 8 kilobytes. So a lot of things can happen. Desert Dream was also ported from the Amiga to Commodore 64, for example. Nexus 7 was transformed into Nexus 8, an 8 kilobyte intro as well. So a lot of these demos go find inspiration on other demos. I'm also thinking of another one. Chaos Theory is also made into a 4K out of a 64K, and 195/256, whatever it's called, from Plastic, which was originally a great demo, was also made into a 64K, I believe, by IQR of RGBA. So a lot of examples of demos that pick up other demos and try to make other versions out of it, and we call that inspiration, and we think it's okay. Back on topic, this seems to be largely accepted. Mostly, in my opinion, it's because it's a source of inspiration, or that source of inspiration is known or explicitly credited. I have a few more other examples that I wanted to share. Three Little Goats from Moppy Productions is based on a very famous story. Ziphead of Fairlight based on another famous video. The Ministry of Silly Walks scene from Falling Down by UK scene All Stars is also out of Monty Python reference. The list is very long. Anyways, ripping, on the other hand, is when you take something that someone else did and you use it without permission in your demo, without crediting them. So, for example, the soundtrack in VIP of Popsy Team, it was taken from a famous metal band. I don't remember the name right now, but I will put it on the video when I edited it. Same thing for State of Mind from Bomb, although that one was credited, but the music was still ripped from Censor. So a lot of demos use ripped music or ripped graphics or ripped ideas. Some even use ripped code. So like the assembly demo that was disqualified a couple of years ago from Voyage, I believe, or Demo Aces, something like that. You will see it on the video below. Some demos even make fun of the ripping and remixing culture with a tongue-in-cheek attitude. For example, the demo Rip Rap from Exceed back from the 90s. They made fun of how easy it is to just rip some materials, throw some effects together, change some colors, call it a remix, or just rip content and use it in your demo. Some demos even have like movies that they transform into vectors and use that as an effect, although it's just a filter on top of a movie. We have seen a few demos from that lately as well, both from Keulers and other groups. What more did I want to say? Let me check. Oh yeah, CNCD and Fairlight demo that had the soundtrack from Dune also had that reference to Art of Noise. He was using the same synth and the chords seemed very similar, so he just stopped the whole soundtrack, played the chords from Art of Noise song, then carried on with the soundtrack, which had nothing to do with Art of Noise, but for those few seconds there, you could recognize Art of Noise chord in the middle there. So yeah, a lot of demos do these little faint references to the original. The soundtrack, for example, of Variform from Killers is also based on a very specific track, on a very specific genre of the electronic scene. I don't remember the track name right now, but I'll probably look it up for when I'm editing the video. What else? Debris from Far Rush is also claimed to be inspired and ripping some ideas from both a movie, a commercial movie, a commercial video clip, and the movie Dark City. So, and it's normal that people brought together inspiration and rips from other things. That's in my opinion. But let's get to it. So, when is it okay and when is it lame to rip something? So, that's the main question I want you guys to think about and write down your answer now before we move on with the rest. And now I will tell you my opinion. I hope you guys paused it so you have time to write your answer down. This is my idea. I think inspiration and ripping can be a bit hard to distinguish from one another. It's easier to spot when you simply use someone else's sounds, and the sound is a lot easier to recognize. Like for example, Melon used soundtrack ripped on I Feel Like a Computer. They're not the only demo that does that. A lot of demos, especially back in the 90s, they ripped some sounds from commercial tracks and then used it mixed together into their demo. So this was common practice. We were just not used to it in 2000 when I Feel Like a Computer came out. Varia, for example, did a remix of a track called Queen of the Universe from Socrates. It was used on the soundtrack of Agenda Circling Forth by Fairlight and CNCD, if I'm not mistaken. Got huge backlash. Oh my god, they're just ripping this track completely. And I mean, it's just remixing. It might be remixing more or less. I mean, what's the gray line that you say that something is ripped and is not a remix? It's like the number of seconds that you rip. Well, we're going back to the Vanilla Ice versus Queen debate of pam 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 pa-da-da-da, pam 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 pa-da-da-da. Is that a complete different sample or is it the same? The real question that we should be asking is, who cares? Just be creative, do whatever you want. I think personally that you should credit all your sources of inspiration and rips. That's me. If people don't want to credit, I can understand that. Let's go back on track to the script. The main issue at play here is that most acts of creation are often based on remixing and reusing in one way or another. Nothing is ever 100% original. You should check out this remix. Everything is a Remix documentary by this Swedish guy that I don't remember the name right now. It's really good. You should go check it out. Everything we see and hear and discuss among each other can become a source of inspiration. It's quite hard to distinguish where the remixing ends and where the originality begins. So yeah, that's quite hard. It seems often people like certain demos more until they realize where the inspiration came from. Then they seem to start feeling cheated, as if they were worshipping a false god somehow. I remember my disappointment when realizing the samples of the demo Fulcrum from Matrix were from a famous sample CD. Which seems ludicrous. The more relevant question should be, why did I assume that it was all originally made to begin with? Why does it matter where the samples come from? If it sounds the same regardless of its origin, it's the creator picked that specific sample and he wanted to use it on his work. That's his vision. So you should just be looking at his vision, not expect that his vision is completely 100% original. So is a work of art more or less interesting to you when you know the sources? Let me know your comments below. You have to bear in mind that there is still a lot of craftsmanship invested into making a demo, even when the idea or the assets are taken from somewhere. Some demos seem to get a lot more heat for ripping, while others, people are like, yeah, that was obvious. So it's still good, I still like it. So where is the gray line? Where do you define it? Why is it defined there? Let me know your comments below. So yeah, let me know your comments on the whole issue, inspiration versus ripping. Let me know also what was your greatest rip in the demo scene, disappointment, like something that you watched and then you loved it and then you realized that it was taken from somewhere and you completely hated it afterwards. Or the other way around, something that you loved even more because it was a rip. I have a personal favorite on that regard, which is Hyperventilation from Byte Rapers. I totally loved what they did with the soundtrack from ABBA. It's a whole new experience. So that's my example. So let me know your examples. What demos can you think of that do this? Either were great disappointments because they were ripped, or became bloody awesome because they were ripped. So yeah, feel free to share also names of other demos that I didn't mention and I should probably have mentioned on this video. I'm not perfect, I can forget some demos sometimes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye bye, take care.